And so we've started the recording. So I am going to start the next assignment, which is helping with the Monster Mash, which will help you with the Monster Mash. All right, I'll introduce it. So this assignment is you're going to have to choose two historical people, which doesn't mean somebody that was on TikTok 6 months ago, right? Or Instagram. So we're talking about choosing two people. One has to be a photograph and one has to be a painting. And you're going to superimpose your face onto these images, and you're going to have to use filters and masks and blurring and cloning to be able to create this image. The other thing is you have to write about who you're choosing. So I suggest you choose people that you're interested in. And the other thing is you have to photograph your face. So you have to look at the image and you have to look at the lighting of the image, and then you have to take selfies of yourself to try and get the best position. All right. So you're walking. So I'm going to share my screen because I pulled everything up and we can have a go. Okay, let's do it. Okay, I'm going to share. You can see it's all messy. My computer is always messy. I am up here. DMA1, I went to the class schedule. I got my syllabus down here and I clicked on Act 4 assignment, right? That brought up this Act 4. So this is what you're going to do, and this should be fun. So this is the final part to Photoshop, right? So basically what it's saying is, you will see, this is the written procedure. So this is what another student had chosen, the two people they had chosen. You have to rewrite history and Photoshop yourself into two historical photographs, and it should be a painting, right? So you're going to do blending, selecting, masking, filters. So it's a photo and a painting. So it can either be 6 by 4 inches at 300 DPI or 1800 by 1200 at 3 DPI, right? They're the same. And 12 inches by 8 inches at 150. It can be horizontal or vertical, right? Please note, I've just this at 12 inch and 8 inch at 150 DPI is the same as 6 by 4 at 300. So all it did was double the size and less half the dots per square inch, right? So it's going to be an RGB and you're going to name it this way. So you're going to set up the file, and then I'm just walking you through, and you're going to divide the artboard into two equal halves, having a vertical guideline placed in the center. You're going to create two layer groups, one of photo and one of painting. That means you have to organize your layers. That's all it is. It's saying organize your layers. Each folder will use a marquee tool to select one of the halves of the canvas and create a layer mask, what we've done in Monster Mash. And you're to place the found images in the corresponding folders. So here it is. When you search for a photo or painting, historical means 1800, 1900s, something around there, right? When it comes to photos, older is better because it is easier to mimic low quality images with our basic tools than contemporary high quality. So that's when you look at photos of Vogue magazine or any of the high-end fashion magazines, they retouch and it takes hours to retouch because it's such high definition. It's getting easier, but it takes days. You don't want to spend days, right? For better results, look for a photo that is black and white or sepia or vintage. Not a requirement, but it might make it easier. It does not have to be a portrait, but a person's face must feature prominently. The closer the features resemble yourself, skin tone, facial structure, the easier it is to blend your own face. If your camera quality doesn't match, you can't make the picture look better. You can only make the found file look worse. So low quality good. For the paintings, more photorealistic, less stylized is better and easier. These days, the filters are pretty good, right? So when you are doing filters, that does help a lot, and you're going to be using filters. If you're going to transform a photo into a flat, cartoony, or highly stylized or abstract painting, you're essentially going to have to redraw it. And it would mean take a look, but it's not worth the work. That's not what we're asking for. Find something in full color. Again, the face should feature prominently. So this is a little thing about skin tones. It's simply easy to blend an image that looks like you, and it's less work, right? You don't want to be trying to change the tone of your skin or whatever it is when it's not similar to yours. It's hard work. It is not impossible to do more extreme changes, but it's more work and other issues come up. It is generally a fun assignment, but we need to talk about some things. The inexcusable truth born out of history. If you're a white man, you have more options than if you are someone of color. Particularly options include the House of images of power. It is not only as European colonization dominated much of photographic history and content, that has changed, right? It's coming up more and more. Historical publications such as Black Panther, Newsjet, Ebony, Ladder, all those are around, right? Latinx, LGBTQIA. So essentially what we're saying is don't do anything politically incorrect, right? Just saying. I can't explain that. Changing your skin color. Just want to be blunt. Maybe just don't do it. Just saying. Okay. To be practical, the most versatile skin color is the one that is brown because you can lighten or darken it. I want you to enjoy this. I'm sort of skipping through this because this is just the back. So here we go. Use the photo camera program or your selfie. We're really good at selfies these days to take your photo. Any photo program will be located in the applications folder. We know all that. When taking a photo, match each of your found images. Place the light or yourself so the shadows are going to be in the same direction, right? Try to angle your face, head to match the pose of the found image. Make the same facial expression. If they're smiling, if they're growling, if they're doing something silly. The closer you can get, the easier it is and more successful it is to blend, right? As you can tell, each of these, right, the light was changed. We chose the change. I know it's shocking. I know it's shocking. I'm getting better. That's the second one I did. Again, this is the American Gothic, and this is one of the first Australian women athletes, right? So I chose people that was interesting. So this is what you have to turn in. You have to turn in the image, right? High resolution TIFF, because that gives you all the files. A low resolution JPEG, right? Screenshot, everything must be organized under folders, right? Got that? Name it. Then one screenshot of your working Photoshop files. Then you have to do your Padlet. These are previous student works, right? And there's your actual portfolio. Torrents, pretty easy. You just set up a whole file the same size, right? And then you just put a photo in front of it, and it gives you the better idea. There we go, student work. And here's the links to everything, extra credit, participation, portfolio. And this is how to do the basic raster information. Any questions about that? No? So how to. There's video demos, there's the module, which is the rasterization, and there's your extra credit. This was the original images that you saw of me back there, right? Historical selfie. You will have to talk about your historical selfie on Padlet, as well as comment why you did it, right? When you send it in to me on Canvas. Okay. I did Fanny, so I chose Fanny De Kaka, who is the first Australian Olympic representative for the photograph, and I chose the female Renaissance painter portrait done by one of the first female, the only female Renaissance painters. It was of a small boy, but I did it that way, right? Make sure. So this is the basics, and now I will show you. We know we're looking really good. It's the basic way of doing it, right? Blah, 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 blah. This is the demos, which is how you can see some of the demos went through, putting yourself in the demos, right? So they're all there. So what I'm going to, yeah.
I do have a question. So in the last module, the link to the video demo wasn't working. I haven't tried accessing it for this demo. If it's not working and I need it, can I just email you to see if
Absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely. And I'm really good if it's not working. I demo for Monster Mash. Is I actually will also send you videos online which will help you, right? Because a lot of this for me is just doing the videos online, right? You know, it's just learning how to do it. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
yep. So here we have multiple pictures of Angela, right? Taking pictures. It was horrific. We can just say it at my age, it's horrific, right? But I want to show
not at all.
yes, it is. It's awful. But so this is all the ones, and I was trying to get the right, you know, what it actually looked like. Here we have, this is me looking like American Gothic. Oh, we jumped. Okay. I'm doing a thing at the moment for home. Here we go. So here we are. This is the two images of American Gothic. I chose this one, the painter here, and I chose Ruth Cohen, right? Now, you can see from I'm just going to zip that up a little, and I'm going to move this up a little. You can see that if we have a look here, right, I've actually got many files to show so that if it comes off, right, and then I have the Gothic copy, which was there, but then I can show you American Gothic there. And there's the ear because I had to take out the earbuds. And then there's the left eye. I put a blue eye in it because she had blue eyes, right? And then you can see originally how it looked, and that's how I got it through filters. All right. So here's my American Gothic, and there's my image. See if there's anything underneath that. So what I'm going to do is we want to start it off. I'm going to pull all this off, right? All right, all right, and all right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is here is a new folder. I'm going to put my cursor on that layer, and I'm going to call this group one, and I'm going to call it AMERI, American Gothic, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and I'm actually just going to make sure that it's working, and it is, right? I come here, I option, Command Z. Oh, come on. I control click, and I'm going to color code it, right? There we are. So now it's all color coded. So I go to this, and there's a couple of ways. I could have imported it or placed it, or what I can simply do is I can select it all, Command A, which is select all. Come on, pull it down, pull it down. And I hate this when this happens, my screen. And then I can go to Past Selfie Women, and I can paste, Command V. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, come on. Command C, that's to copy, and I'm going to paste. You can tell from this that it's too big. So the first thing I have to do is go edit, boom, 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 free transform, right, and reduce the size. Now, while I'm doing this at the same time, what I want to show you is, please note, I'm just going to pop that there, hit return. The next thing you really must do is you've got to set up your guides, right? And I'm going to just not do it as part of that folder. I'm going to get a new layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to positive out. I've got this at 0, and I know it's 1800. So I do know, and I'm going to go to my view, and I'm going to go snap to, right? Snap. And I'm going to get this, and I'm going to go straight at 900. Because I've got the snaps on, it goes straight to 900, right? So that sets it up. So you now have exactly half. So you know exactly where to put your images, right? So that's the first thing. I'm going to double click here and say guide. All right. So there it is. You can clear the guides by simply going view, right? We take off the snap, view, show, guides, and we can take it. And once you put it back, you can put it back, right? So we're up here. Angela's there. It's pretty good. We're going to come here and we're going to get this, and I'm going to move this all the way up here. So it's underneath there, right? So now I know that this, right, is I'm actually got this image, which is Edith Cohen. Whoop. And if I put her here, you can see I cut out half the image. I just wanted the woman. I could have done myself as a man, didn't feel like it. And I can pop that on top there, and there it is. So we see that, right? So we have me. The first thing I want to look at is I'm sort of looking, not that one. I'm going to put that one. I'm sort of, sorry, looking like her, right? I did the best I could. Not great, but I did the best I could, and I didn't do my hair that way, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the opacity, and I'm going to pull the opacity down, right? And I'm pulling Command Z, sorry. I want it on this layer. I want to do my opacity, and I want to pull it down. So the first thing I want to do is match up the face, right? So I'm on here. I'm going to go edit transform, and then I'm going to try and match up the face, right? And you can see it's pretty weird, right? There it is there, not quite right. And we're going to bring it up a little, getting closer. So the first thing you want to do is match her up, or match me up to there. Getting closer, right? It's not 100%, but we're getting closer. Do you see that? Probably a little bigger. Still a little small. And you can see my face doesn't match hers up, but we're doing pretty well, right? I'm going to use my arrows and put it down. God, that looks awful, right? So we've got it sort of in the right position. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up at the moment. I'm only going through it roughly with you, right? Now we have to select my face. Problem, I had my earbuds in, whole lot of other problems that I can't even discuss because I'm so horrified. So we're going to go here and we're going to try our object selection. That's okay, but please notice that we're missing all the hair up the top, which is fine, right? But the other thing to notice, do you want everything? Not necessarily. So do you want to do the object selection, right? Or do you actually want to not see how she's got a long neck? You want to get rid of all this area here and all that area there. Do you see that? So what you want to do is you might want to go back here and simply come in and do a really shonky job using the magnetic tool. Doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pull my thing down, right? Pull it a bit more down. Okay. And then I can see where it is behind. And then I'm simply going to don't need much of that hair. We know that's a bit chonky, right? Right? You got it there. I can come here and mask and select. And if I want to change it even more, I can simply come here and click there and make my mask there. Right? So I wanted, as we've been doing so much lately, right? I can come here and it's a process. It's going to take a lot. You can see where it's completely out. I don't want my hair in it, right? I really don't. It looks really awful. So what do I have to do? I have to figure out how to match it up. Once I've cut out, do you know, once I cut out that sweater in the background, my neck got longer, right? So how you select it is really important. Do you see that? The next thing to notice is, I don't know, we can Command T and it's not quite right. So I'm just going to reduce it a little because she's got a little bit of hair. and I'm going to pull this down, right? And I'm going to see how that goes. Okay. So we're feeling good about it. Now I'm going to come here. I'm going to double click, right? And you can start to see what you don't want and what you do want. We start to look at all these images here, all these tools here. So we're going to use the brush tool and we want to minus some of it. So when we minus, it adds. Do you see that? And because I've got my filter on, my opacity off, I can now come and take off what I don't want. Do you see that? And if I blow it up, you've got to do it really big, right? You might even want to come down here. And you should be doing a much better job. I'm just showing you basically what to do, right? We can take that off. Oh my God, it's awful, awful, awful. And we sort of take that off, right? But you also have to look at and know what's underneath, right? And that's basically that. And then we can come in here, right? So we're feeling pretty good about this. Probably not, but that's okay. And we've made the basic shape. From this, then you start to play with what you have. I hit return, right? I blow it down because it looks awful. Now, one of the hardest things is matching up. Like there's this whole area here that's wrong, right? And it's matching up, right? Do you see that? My face is much wider than hers, right? So let's go back here. And once we've done that, we're going to bring the opacity down a little. And we can see it's a little bit out. So then we go here and we're going to move it up a bit, right? We're back on moving it up. That looks a bit better. Problem is my hair does nothing compared to hers. So how do I get rid of my hair, right? So the best and most easy way to do it would be to clone it. So I'm going to go to this image here. I'm going to take that off. And I know her hair is like this. I want my edge of my hair to be like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come here on this layer and I'm going to add a layer and I'm going to call it hair, right? American. So, you know, I'm going to hit hair, American. Any questions so far? So I'm going to go back here. That's a no. I'm going to come to my cloning tool. Now, remember, cloning is awesome. You can't blend the hair, but you can copy what's underneath and put it on top, right? So to use the cloning tool, I'm going to blow this up a bit. And you can see it is a bit of a, it's just a brush. It's about 20 and it's a soft edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose somewhere that I know I can replicate. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to hit the option and it changes to a bullseye. And I'm going to hit a click, right? I know where it is there. So then when I come to my American hair, right, I'm actually going to copy it. Now I'll show you how it is copying because while I'm copying it, look what's happening here, right? It's actually, it should be. Do you see how it's only at an opacity of 50? So that's doing it very slowly, but I'm actually copying what's underneath and putting it on top. Does everybody see that? Maybe. Every time I go over it, I'm not doing it solid because every time I go over it with an opacity, it increases the amount of brushwork that is on top. So you sit there and you sit there. And so now, do you see this?
So this is creating a whole new layer just to clone that section of the hair. You're not on the layer that's your picture. You're not necessarily on the layer that is the original picture.
True. Absolutely true. So look, this is the layer I did. Watch. So cool, right?
So it will clone it from the original image of American Gothic onto the layer that you're creating to cover your image.
Absolutely. Correct.
Okay.
That's why cloning is so good, can be so good. A lot of people really, there it is there. Do you see that? So I took a marker where I knew, and so now I can really play with that edge. Do you see that? And get rid of all the hair.
And so it's literally just copying that image over onto that layer.
Yeah.
I did mess around with the Easy Breezy extra credit project, which teaches us how to use the clone. And that definitely gave me a bit of an understanding of the cloning. I'm sure this project will help me understand it a lot better.
100% better, right?
One of the things that I just remembered though, when I turned in the Easy Breezy extra credit assignment, I did notice that on the grading, it was worth 0 points.
Oh, it's not. It's I just happened to set it up that way. Every extra credit, because you set it up that way, I add it at the end basically, and I'll go and double check so that, because what happens is people get flustered, right? And they minus it rather than adding. And I want it to be added above. So you can get, for the semester, you can get 110, right? But if I add that credit in then and not later, you'll only stick at 100, right?
Okay. Yeah, I think our page on Canvas where we can see like the graded section for us on our view is where a lot of like the due dates confusion is coming in, because we're seeing due dates that are different on the graded page versus what's on the module. So
well,
I think like that page is causing confusion. Yeah.
So, but the due date is, they set, the due date is not set. And so this is the confusion, is I say this is the due date, but it doesn't shut down until it's pulled off the syllabus.
Got it.
Right? So this due date is set as a flexible date because this is an asynchronous class. You can hand in any time up until a week before the end of semester.
Okay.
Right? But if I say that, most students won't do anything until 3 weeks before the end of semester.
Yeah, and that's not fair to you, honestly.
Well, but it's also not fair to them because they're not going to learn. You want to build on skill sets. I don't honestly care. I'm going to continue grading. But if you want to learn and listen and do things, you can't do it all in 3 weeks. It's not viable.
No, it's hard to ask a semester's worth of questions in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm not prepared to do it. That sounds terrible.
You're reasonable.
That sounds terrible. So, any other questions with the cloning? No? Okay. Now, the next part is you will notice that if I pull that off, we have this area here that's really important. You're going to have to clone that, right? Not necessarily something like that. And you can even change the color of the eyes. But before we do that, what I want to do is bring this back, and we're going to go up. So, whoa, there we go. So one of the big things is this filters. So here I am. She's a different color, right, than me. So it's sort of a green color. Do you see that? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my image, and I am going to try and do my adjustments. This is where your adjustments come in. You've got your curves. You've got your exposure. I'm not great with, I don't really like brightness and contrast because that's just adding blacks and whites. But you've also got your color balance and your hue saturation. So these I think are important. Your color balance. So here's my image. I've got to make sure I'm on the right layer. So we have to cancel. So I want to be on, I was on the right layer. All right. Sorry. So I want to be on the right layer. So I go to my image, I go to my adjustments, and I go to, this is learning about color balance. So these are really, if it says it's going cyan, right? It's adding, but you have to do sort of the opposite. This is your midtones, and it's learning how to get a similar color. Do you see that? Off, on. So you've got to try and pull these. So you can do it this way, right? To start with. Let's say that's what we're going to do. We're feeling, okay, this is pretty good, right? I take it off. No, it's not, right? So you go back and you need maybe some red in the shadows. So you go back to your adjustments, you go back to your color balance, and you can look at your shadows and maybe make the shadows, there we go, a little redder. Do you see that? And then you start to play with it. Preview, not preview. Preview, not preview. Do you see that? So we go, okay, that's, we're feeling pretty good. You can come in here and you can look under here again. It's highlighted a lot more on the left-hand side than the right-hand side. So some people do like to do a bit of a gradient, which is a bit of a top skill. So what you can do is you can come here and put that on. You could maybe, you can even do a bit of a mask gradient, but if you go under this here, you'll see your gradient tool. You can double click on that. That's it. You can go to your gradient, yes, or you can come under here, right? And that gives you your gradient. If I go here, right, and I double click, it's going to go to the basics. Let's have a look under the basics. You might want to, I can come here and you might even want to do it as a mask, but let's see what it does. So I actually am going to go all the way under reds, oranges, greens. Let's have a look at greens. You could green mask it, but what it will do is you can simply come here, notice, and this causes, because I'm on this layer, I'm going to do a Command Z, sorry. We're going to do a new layer, and you can somewhat, and it, unfortunately, I don't, let's see a classic gradient. It should double, oh, there we are. So it had to be under classic. So I can come here, I can double click here, and I can do it as white, right? Okay, and then I can come here and do it as color foreground, or I can do it here as solid custom. We can come under here and have a bit of noise. I can double click here and I can do it a little bit like this, right? And this also allows me, I'll show you exactly, I can double click here and do, I don't know, a bit of green, let's say green, a light green. Okay. Click OK. And this tells me where the movement, oh shit, I should show you with the darker green. Come on, bud. Come on, bud. Come on, bud. That's telling me it's not a solid, right? It's 100% location, right? And it should come up as a very light. Let's see if it comes up. And I can do a little bit of a gradient, and not that much, right? But you could do a little bit of white to make it a little whiter. The gradient tool is much better if you're masking, right? I double click there and it should mask it just a little. And you can play with that until you get lighter. Do you see how it's coming up lighter slowly? Do you see that?
So to get the gradient to have effect in the mask, you have to select the mask layer.
Yep.
Okay, because I feel like I've fallen backwards into success with gradients. Like,
yeah, it is. It's gradients and you just have to keep doing it until you get it right. But it does lighten it a little, right? And if you notice, I'm doing it from a bit of white to a bit of green. Do you see that?
Yeah, and I see you going over the same area over and over again. Does it like stack necessarily where it increases that gradient?
No, not necessarily, not unless, but what it actually is doing is I'm getting the better look at what I want lighter, right? Do you see how that makes it lighter there, or that makes it light? Then, right? So that's one way of getting it lighter.
So then when you're re-clicking, it's just relocating where the gradient is at?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's not stacking layer on top of layer on top of layer.
No, but you can by doing different gradient layers.
Okay.
Right. So now let's say that I've got this. I've got my image here. Good question, by the way. I can go to my filter gallery. If I do this, it reverts to what the original, the last filter I did, right? But if you want to see the best filter gallery, your galleries, you can look here. All right. And this is where you can have fun. So you can do it as a cutout. And then these are what's called your sliders, which are putting the mathematical equations. So you can make it incredibly, or you can do it simply. That might be a bit, and you can do it to a select area, right? You can do, and there's all these different, you can do it, and you keep working it until you get what you want. Does that make sense? Quite like the angled sponge, that makes it softer, right? Closer to what she is. Maybe you tighten it up a bit. It was a bit softer. Do the stroke length, not so much, right? At least it gets rid of the wrinkles. Fuck, that's awesome. Sharpness, softness, right? So you can play with any of these filters and then you go, okay, not good. Command Z, didn't like that. So let's do it again. And let me just check. It should be redder, right? But we know how to move that. So we want it really soft. Ha! Fuck. Excuse the language. We're recording. Sorry, people.
It's all good. You got this.
Okay. I'd go to the cutouts again. I'm a bit of a that's not bad, right? That softens it a little. And you just play with it. You can do it simple, light, rough. Ugh, awful, right? And then you can play with the sharpness. So you play with it and then you go, okay, that's not bad, right? So this is the way you're going to do all your images. The next thing you want to do is you're going to have to get rid of this and you can work on the neck. But the biggest part is getting rid of the clothing. You do have to work the clothing, right? So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to double click here, right? And I'm going to actually have to minus again. Whoop, went straight to plus. So is everybody getting the idea of what we're trying to do? This should be fun. This
I
should
think I think one of the questions that I had before was how you got to this setting. And I think one of the differences is that you're on a Mac and I'm on a PC. So I think I have to approach it differently.
What do you mean by the setting?
The property setting that you have here where you're able to get into this, I had a hard time navigating to where this screen that you're showing us is with these properties. I'm able to do similar effects, but I have to approach it in a different way. And I think it's because I'm on a PC rather than a Mac.
So are you double clicking on the mask?
Yes.
And are you doing view, show your properties? You want to do your window. There is a properties window, workspace. There is. And also the other thing to notice, I'm on essentials. So each one of these has different properties.
Yes, I did reset mine to essentials because this is a shared computer that I'm on right now. And so someone had reset the view to their format that they wanted. So I did reset it to essentials.
Yeah, I know that I got that one. So I went and showed the properties here, right? And okay. I'm sure it is a little different. And that's the unfortunate thing. It has got better, but it's not great, right? The difference between the two of them.
Yeah, I'm still able to navigate it. It just takes me a little bit of time clicking around and trying to find it for myself and Googling a couple videos here and there. But I think I just have to approach some of the techniques a little bit differently.
Yep. Yep. And I'm surprised that it doesn't come up exactly the same, right? I'm just surprised, but that is what it is. So thank you so much. And you're meant to, like, it always goes back to the default. And then the next thing, so you're sort of playing with this whole notion here. I'm trying to get the neck a little better. You've got to sort of probably work on the earbuds and that sort of stuff and the ear there as the time goes on. You're going to have to refine the hair as well. The last thing to notice as we go through this is this hair area here, right? Take it off. put it on. I know I need to get this area here working better, right? So I'm going to go here. I'm actually going to go above the image. These should be named gradient, right? Okay, this layer, what's this layer? Don't know yet. Okay, I'm going to come up here. That's my American Gothic hair. I'm going to add this and I'm going to do collar, right? So I'm going to come here to the American Gothic. I'm going to go to my clone tool option, right? Option click here because I know that's a good place, right? I'm going to come to my collar here and I'm going to blow it up, match it up. There it is, right? And I'm going to, it actually wasn't, so that was pretty shonky. It's not 100%. And you clone it, right? You can select it, copy and paste it if you want. That's another option, but this sort of makes it a little easier, right? So when I do this back in, I'm starting to get, do you see how I'm starting to work this collar area, right? I'm sitting at 77%. I could do it at 100 if I wanted, and it would come out nice and clear, right? But the issue here is now I'm on that one. I have to go to my eraser tool, right? And come on, buddy. What's wrong with my eraser tool? It's opacity 51%. I'm going to go above, and you're not doing it. Let's see why.
I think it might be on a different layer.
Yeah, it is. So I have to go on this layer here, right? And erase it there. Do you see that? Or use my mask, right? Now, while I'm on this layer, I really need to get rid of these speaker marks. I go back to my cloning, and this is where you can do it on another layer, or I can go on this one here, option click here, and start to move it down. Notice every time I'm only going from here. So you want to know that you are going to pick up everything in between. So you want to try and move the brush strokes right where it is. Do you see that?
Yes.
Any questions, anyone?
Is there a reason why it's not lining up? Like where you click it, it's off by like 1/4 of an inch.
Because I erased it.
Oh.
It was a bad demonstration. I erased it. Sorry.
I mean, it's a great example of what we're probably going to do and have to try and fix. So, I mean,
Right. And often, like my image was obviously, I had to take out, see, it's a bit off there. And, you can do simple things. Here's the other thing is the image, I didn't have enough because the neck was really long and I had erased the jacket. So my masking was not good, right? Originally, that's where it's off, right?
He does have an alien shaped head. So there is that.
We wish. So, fuck, right? Excuse the language. So here we go. I want to come here and I'm going to go under here and I'm going to choose my selection tool, right? And this is huge. I don't want it that big. I want it at about 39. I'm actually going to go under here and I'm going to do my magic wand. So here's this little thing here. That she had blue eyes. I want to check. I want to have blue eyes. I do. I really do. So what I can do is I can use my magic wand and just pick up a little bit of the area where the eye is. So what I'm going to do, I use my tolerance. I'm going to pull my tolerance down to 10. This is getting a bit picky, but I can come here, shift click, and I can select color just in the little area. You can do it with your, and then you can come back here, go on here and do my lasso. And select it, right? There we go. I can option click and deselect that area there as you wish, right? I can do a new layer, right? I'm going to call this layer EYE. And then I can go edit, fill, right? I can also content aware fill, but I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to double click here. I'm going to change it to blue, right? Then I'm going to go edit. Where are you? Fill. I'm going to fill it with the foreground color, which is blue. And I'm going to do an opacity of 50% to start with. It's going to be normal. I click OK. It fills it, right? So now I have blue, but then I can come to my opacity and I can make a blue eye. You can play it. There you go. Really cool, right? Any questions?
Is there a way to adjust the eye location, or is that the same cloning technique that you did with like the collar in a sense?
You could do that, but the best solution is to actually try to the best of your ability to get the best pose, and then you just have to work within that, right?
Okay.
So now I come here, it's 65% opacity, right? So you really don't, know, right?
Yeah.
You got to fix this area here. It's not 100%, but that just gives you the overall basics of how to go about it, right?
Okay. Okay.
Anyone else got a question? No?
I do have a statement. Thank you to whoever is recording these, because it really helps to be able to go over this information. It's a lot in one session.
It is, and it is really good to that's Torrance. So it's
Thank
really
you,
good.
Torrance.
Thank you, Torrance. And the other thing
You're welcome.
please excuse the swearing.
You sound like me. It's okay. I'm fine with it.
Okay. So is everybody good? Thomas, are you good? Okay. Torrance? Yes. Katrina?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good luck. Have fun. Oh, no, stop. Share. Let me share again. So I'm going to go. No, there's a reason, because Torrance wanted to know his InDesign isn't working because he's using the same as you, a PC, right? So I'm going to go back to Google Chrome, take this off, go back up here, here we go. So let me come to how to, go all the way down. Here's the portfolio. Let's see if it pulls it up. No, it's not going. Yep, here we go. So if your InDesign isn't working, this actually gives you exactly what you need to do for your portfolio, and you can do it in Photoshop, right? And to do it in Photoshop, what you do is you come here, you go File, New, and we're going to do this in 8.5. We're going to do it in inches because I know InDesign is done in inches, and we're going to do it in a width of 11 and a height of 8.5, right? Which makes it vertical, right? And we're going to do it at 144 pixels, right? We're going to go okay. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to divide. It is 15, what does it say? 1580, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my view. I'm going to go to my snap. And half of 1580 is 7. Half of that is 750. Let's say 750 plus 40. It's about 740, okay, if I do my math pretty quickly. So I come here and I'm going to go half, right? Jesus, that's not right. 7 and 7 is 14, 750. So it's going to be 790. Boop, 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 boop. and I should snap it to the grid, but that's approximately it. There's your guide there. There's your half page. Then what you can do is you set up, you can place your images or you can copy them, which means I can come here, right? Where is it? No, it's me. No, I'm trying to find me as Gothic woman. Here it is. Command C. I'm going to copy this, right? I look to my page. I know I have to have this image, right? You have your who you are, the two images are, what your two photographs were, and what the end result was, and your best one, right? So what I can come do is I come in here, right? I copy this. I then go back over to I can't see it. I go back to here. I go back to the untitled, right? I paste it. I reduce it.
So this is essentially recreating the InDesign portfolio in Photoshop.
Yeah, if your InDesign is not working.
Okay, cool, cool.
Right, and that's essentially, and you know how to do this, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and Torrance, does that help you?
Yes.
Right, so you don't have to worry about, oh my God, InDesign's not working. My Snap 2 is not working, but that's okay. Snap 2 guides or layers. All right, so that's essentially giving you the option. If InDesign, I'm going to go over to look at the demos for Monster Mash, and I'm going to double check all the InDesign ones, okay?
Also, just a quick reference for the other classmates here. One of the shortcuts that I've learned for if some of the links aren't working in the modules, I'm able to actually get to the links through the graded page by going and clicking on where we submit it and then going up to the very top and clicking on the title, and it brings me to the page if the link isn't working in the module. It's just a quick workaround just in case.
Right, and most of the links should be also working through the syllabus, the schedule. Right, thanks for the workaround. And I tried with all those links. They work with mine.
Like you said, it's Canvas is a little janky, so.
Right. It is really janky. Any other questions?
No, not for me.
All right, have a good week. Thank you for coming.
You as well. Thank you for the class. Much appreciated.
Awesome.
Learned a lot.
Okay, see ya. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.